This is one fat boy, and here are my NBA game predictions for March 26th. Tonight there is 8 games, and I will be going over the spreads and over-unders for each of them. For the Spurs at the Pelicans, I'll be going with the Spurs plus 5.5. Now this should be a playoff-style atmosphere type of game, as both teams that are playing for the play-in spot. I believe the Pelicans currently have it, and the Spurs are just right outside. So this is a very important game for the Spurs, so hence why I'm leaning for the Spurs to keep it close. Even though if I had to choose a team to win, I'd lean towards the Pelicans, but I think the Spurs will be able to keep it close. Because, well, last time these two teams met, last week, the Pelicans won by like 30 points. And the Spurs did not have a good game offensively. And I believe a Popovich team is not going to lose to the same team by 30 points twice in a row. So I think the Spurs will be able to keep it close. I will be leaning towards under 233.5, as even though, well, the Pelicans showed that they can hold the Spurs down, like below 100 points. But I think this would be like a playoff type game. This would be a playoffs atmosphere, might be called a little more physical. So I think the lean towards a more defensive style of game in this one. So I'd lean towards an under in this game. For the Kings at the Magic, so overall, spread-wise, I guess I'd lean towards Orlando, even though this probably wouldn't be a game I'd want to bet on spread-wise, or even who to win, as I can see both teams winning and both teams losing, and both of them being the cause of that. It's like I can see Orlando causing themselves to lose this, like they're grabbing defeat out of the jaws of victory. Like that's what these two teams have been doing all year. I'm just leaning towards the Magic. They are playing at home. They play a little better at home than on the road. And then the Kings, like if they get going offensively, I think that's what's going to lead them to the victory. The Magic, they've been playing better offensively over like the second half of the season. Not so much this past week, but I think there's a lot of effort players on Magic. So if there is loose balls, I think Magic will grab a few more of those, give them a few extra possessions. But overall, for this type of game, I'd just probably avoid picking a winner, or unless you just really know how Kings games go, or you really know how Magic games go. Just like the past week of just trying to choose like these bottom tier games is literally just a coin toss, because the ones I think that should win, and has all this evidence proving that they should, it's the exact opposite. So I'm going to avoid betting on this. But over 224, I think that seems reasonable. The Kings, they don't have to play the greatest defense. I think Magic can get a good bounce back for an offensive game if they're playing the Kings. And then the Kings, they can just score a lot of points on anyone. They a lot of talent scoring-wise for the Kings on that team. And the Magic, I think we'll have a hard time trying to slow them down. But overall, I think I wouldn't be surprised if this is an over. For the Pacers at Toronto, going with Toronto -9. Toronto has been playing very well over the past week, even though they did lose to the Lakers over the past week. But I think they should be able to handle the Pacers. Like Toronto has to keep their spot in the playoffs, possibly get up to that 6th seed. And Indiana, obviously not playing for a playoff spot, so Toronto should be able to take advantage of this and get the win. They should be able to cover a 9-point spread. They have better talent, better defense, better offense, so shouldn't be a problem for Toronto winning. I will be leaning towards under 227, as even though Pacers games are high scoring, I think Toronto has been playing better defense. Their games have been on the lower scoring end. I believe a lot more of their games are going under, so I just have to lean towards under. As Toronto, they match up defensively well against most teams in the league, as they have a lot of athletic wings, and I think they should be able to slow down how Indiana plays. So hence why I'm leaning towards under 227. For the Nets at Miami, so how Miami has been struggling, like they're struggling to win games. They're just kind of slowly crumbling away. I think the Nets should be able to take advantage of that. They have Durant and Kyrie. I wouldn't be surprised if Miami has a bounce back game today, as a lot of teams like to beat the Nets. Like you always want to be like one of the best players in the league, and especially a team that has 2 of the better players in the league. I still think Durant's probably like top 5, if not top 1 when he's fully healthy. And I think with having Kyrie and Durant playing, that is a big boost for the Nets to win, and especially with Miami struggling. I'd be very surprised if Brooklyn does not win. Like, they should win this. They shouldn't lose. We lean towards under 227.5 as Miami's offensive woes should continue. And Brooklyn, they shouldn't have to score a lot. They can score a lot, but I think Miami's defense will be like reasonable. Like, they'll be able to slow down Brooklyn. Like, if Kyrie or Durant don't get it going, or they're not getting their role players involved, like, the Nets offense will struggle. But I think Miami's offense will just struggle in general. So, hence why I will lean towards an under. For the Bucks at the Grizzlies, we lean towards Memphis -1. There is for the Bucks, like, Holiday's out, and then I believe Middleton and Giannis are kind of day-to-day or kind of iffy for this game. So with that being said, like, if all three of those players are out for Milwaukee, then Memphis should win this no problem. If one of them are playing, like, I know Drew's out for sure. The other two are iffy, but it's said unlikely for them to play. If one of them plays, I'm still leaning towards Memphis. If Giannis and Middleton are playing, I'd almost still have to take Memphis as you're just getting off an injury, and the way Memphis has been playing without Morant, it's hard to bet against Memphis right now, especially on the spread. And they proved that they play almost better without Morant, but I guess that's because they are forced to move the ball around and get everyone involved, and they're a very deep team. So hence, I lean towards Memphis -1. Be leaning towards an under for this game, as I think Milwaukee will struggle to score. I know they're going to have to rely on their younger players to score, so the Sky report might be a little iffy. So if this does go over, that means Milwaukee had a good first half, as I think Memphis will be able to figure out the Bucks in the second half and take over the game, like in the second half, as they figure out a game plan how to slow Milwaukee's role players. But I think Memphis will figure out early. I think Memphis will score a lot, but I think the most that the Memphis will score is between like 120 125, although I think the Bucks offense will struggle this game, especially with their stars being out. So under 229.5. For the Bulls at the Cavaliers, we're going with Cleveland -1. Overall, I think both these teams are struggling, and I think offensively they're both kind of struggling too, but defensively, I think it's easier to bounce back defensively than offensively. Like, if you've been struggling offensively for a week, it's likely going to continue. But I think defense about effort, and Cleveland, they always bring effort, so I'd have to lean towards a spread that way, as Cleveland just giving more effort, and also they're playing at home, if that's any consolation. But overall, will I be betting on the spread for this game? No, probably not. But if I had to, I'd lean towards Cleveland. We lean towards under 219.5, as if I think defense will be the winner of this game, I'm going to have to obviously lean towards an under 219. But if you think the Bulls offense is just going to somehow start clicking against the Cavaliers, then by all means take it over. But I think the offensive woes for the teams will continue this game, and I'd be leaning towards an under. For the Thunder at the Nuggets, so the Nuggets should win this game. Shouldn't be a problem for them. I think winning by 14 is a little bit of a stretch, so have to lean towards Thunder +14. So the Thunder, like, they're always going to bring effort. They may not win, but they have like defensive tenacity, and they just give effort to get like the loose balls, but that only can get you so far. It's like eventually the ball has to go through the bucket, and that's something that they struggle with. Denver, on the other hand, they have Jokic, and as long as he can get his team involved, they're hard to beat, and I think Thunder will be witnessing that. But I will be leaning towards over 226, because if OKC is going to stay in it, because I think that Denver, they're going to score a lot. They're playing at their home field advantage, and then how they've been scoring the ball as of late has been higher scoring, and I think their defense hasn't been the greatest as of late for Denver, and I think that'll allow Thunder to get a few more baskets more than usual, so I'll be leaning towards an over for this game, over 226. And for the Rockets at Portland, so this is a repeat of last night's game. I always kind of expect a repeat of what will happen, as Portland, they're still going to be missing a lot of their players. And Houston, I mean, they should win this like no problems. Like, they just got to score a lot of points. Like I said, they'd be somewhere between like 125 and 130. They're at 125. I kind of expect the same. And then Portland, kind of around the same area too. I think it's going to be like little variation in the score, I feel like. If anything, might be a little closer, but I think Houston should still win by more than 5 points. I will be leaning towards an over 228. I think when the spread comes out, will probably be around like 232 or something like that. But I think betting over 228.5 seems reasonable, as if I think Houston's going to be in that 125 range. That means Portland just has to get like 103, but I should expect a high-scoring game, as Houston does not play a lick of defense, but they will score the ball a lot. Thank you for watching. As always, bet responsibly. Have fun watching sports, and good luck on your bets. And once again, thanks for watching.